I've reviewed more CD players this year than ever, and a few of them genuinely surprised me. Hi, my name is Aaron, and every player in this video is one that I've personally reviewed and live with in my own setup, including a few dedicated CD transports. This is my ranking of the 10 best CD players of this year, ranked from worst to first. Let's start the countdown now with number 10. Well, coming in at number 10 is the most controversial CD player I've ever reviewed, the SMSL PL100 at just $99. I was really hoping this would be the solve for the problem that everyone was saying in the comments of my videos about CDs and CD players, that too bad no one's making cheap CD players anymore. And at $99, this was the answer in my mind, and I gave it a glowing review because everything on my unit worked perfectly. Unfortunately, a lot of people ordered it, and I don't think SMSL was quite ready for the demand. It was back ordered for weeks, and a lot of times when it showed up to people, it didn't work properly, and that's a bummer, especially since this one for me has always worked great. It was, in my mind, the perfect little $99 CD player to get people started with, but the reason why I am dropping this down to worst is because they've discontinued this model and it's no longer even available. So of all the CD players that I'm going to talk about today, this one's got to be at the bottom because you just can't buy it new. You may be able to find a used one, but again, there were so many problems with the batches they were releasing. I'm not sure that I would suggest investing in a used one of these unless you like getting in, taking things apart and trying to fix it yourself. But the SMSL PL100, I really had high hopes for you, friend, and you kind of let me down. So you come in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is another SMSL player, the PL150. Now this is just $150 and it has the CS43198 chip. Now this is really the big brother unit to the PL100 I just showed, and I really think SMSL solved a lot of the problems they had with the PL100 with the 150. The reason why, there's two reasons I'm putting this at number 9. The first is that, again, this is back ordered and you can't order it from Amazon. You can still get it from their website, but I think it takes a couple weeks to ship. The other reason is that SMSL, for their power supplies, let's see, you can see the connection right here, only send a cable. They don't send the actual wall wart that you would use to plug into the wall to power this. And it requires a very special voltage in order to power this properly. What a lot of people do is they just walk around their house and they find like an old cell phone wall wart or something. They plug these units up, they insert a disc, and it will take it and it won't spit it out, or it won't spin it because it's not getting enough power. So I just don't know why they haven't solved this problem and just don't go ahead and send the wall wart with these units. It can't cost that much more for a $150 player to include that. But that's this, and the reason why it's back ordered is why this is coming in at number 9. At number 8, we're going to start talking about portable CD players. But keep in mind that whenever I talk about portable CD players in this video, all of these could be used in a traditional home stereo setup. So you could buy one of these so you have portability with the player, but also just connect it at home, and you kind of get two things for one. Now coming in at 8 is the Moondrop Disc Dream Ultra. Now this is sort of a higher end model. It comes in at $350. Moondrop also has a less expensive model called the Disc Dream 2, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. Now this is a pretty chunky portable CD player, nice and heavy. It uses 2 DACs, the Cirrus Logic 32-bit Master Hi-Fi chips, and the reason why it's using as a dual DAC design is because this is going to offer you balanced output for your headphones, which is not something that the regular Disc Dream 2 does. I made a full video comparing both of those players, so go to my channel and look that up. The reason why I'm ranking this a little bit lower in the list is because it's $350, and what you're getting for that price really comes down to the dual DAC design and the balanced output. And I'm not sure that a lot of people will be interested in those features at this price point versus the regular Disc Dream 2, which is what I mentioned in that video. It's not ranked low for performance issues or sound issues. This is actually a really great player. I do think it's a little on the chunky side for a portable player, and it's not very lightweight and easy to carry, which is another reason why I'm kind of ranking it lower. If you've got the $350 and you're really interested in that balanced connectivity, this would be a great option. But I think a lot of people shopping for portable players, this might just be a little bit out of their budget. Now, as I'm going through each of these players, if you have any specific questions, you can actually email me directly. Click on the first link in the pinned comment. It will sign you up to my email list where it will send you my personal email address. Just email me any questions you have on any of these players, and we'll try to figure out which one is best for you. All right, coming in at number 7 is the Shandling EC0T. Now, this one is unique for multiple reasons. I really didn't enjoy ranking this at number 7, but there is one main reason why I did, and I'll get to that in just a few seconds. The reason this is a special unit is because this is actually an R2R design. Now, this is a portable CD player that can also be used at home. And if you'll note that in all the other players I talk about today, I will mention a DAC chip. Well, this is an R2R design, meaning it uses resistor ladders as the DAC rather than a specific chip. So there's no chip to point out here. It's an R2R design. I am a big fan of R2R DACs. I feel like they're just a little bit more warm. They take a little bit of the digital edge off. And so I really loved listening to this player. This thing is packed. Look, it also comes with a tube right there. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. That is a tube, so you can listen to it in tube mode. You can listen to it without the tube. You can use this as a standalone R2R DAC, even if you're not using it as a CD player. This thing is chock full of so many options. I really had very little issues listening and using this player while taking it on a cruise from Nashville to Alaska. I traveled with this from a flight to Seattle and then on a cruise to Alaska all the way back home. I made a whole video about that. Go check it out if you really want to learn more about how this works out in the wild as a portable player. But the main reason I am dropping this down to number 7 really has nothing to do with performance or sound, all of which I absolutely loved. It's simply that this costs $590, so practically $600. And that is almost what every comment was about on my full video review of this, was just that it was way too expensive for people. And I'll admit, it's a little nerve-wracking taking that like this much of an expensive piece of gear out on the road as a portable player. Using it at home, it's actually really great, but it does get a little nervous. Like I kept thinking, like, did I lose that $600 CD player the whole time that I was traveling with it? But from a performance standpoint, it's excellent. I'm just ranking it at 7 due to that high price and the fact that it's going to be out of most people's budget. This next player is for all my friends out there who love the traditional size CD player to fit in their home stereo system. All of these other players are rather small compared to this one. This is the Yamaha CD-S303. It uses the Burr Brown PCM 1780 DAC. Really, this player sounds fine. It comes with a remote control. It's just your standard player. It's actually been on the market for several years. It wasn't released just this year. This is something that you'll find on Amazon when you just search for CD player. This is one of the ones that pops up. It's a fine player. I have no issues with it. If you own it, I'm not slagging it. I did rank it number 6, and that's only because I have one nitpicking complaint with it, and that it is really slow to read discs. It's almost as slow as when I was using a Blu-ray or DVD player to play my CDs. It just takes a while to load, and I don't really know why. This really started to bother me after I did a deep dive into vintage CD players about midway through this year. I bought like 5 or 6, maybe even like 7 vintage CD players to try to repair for a video I was making. And I couldn't help but notice that those vintage CD players read discs like this. I mean, as soon as a disc goes in, the table of contents pops up. And then I started realizing, man, this Yamaha really takes a while to load. And that's why I had to bump this way down at number 6. This is probably not going to bother most people. Anyone who owns this unit will probably be mad at me for ranking it as low as I have here. But I'll be honest with you, if someone were to ask me for a traditional size CD player, I would probably be more tempted to point them to the Cambridge AXC35 at $399, or even the Denon DCD NE series. I think there's a 600 for $499, and there's maybe even like a 300 NE, and then there's like a 900 NE, which I did a full review of. That's a little bit too pricey, but I would probably recommend those before this Yamaha player that comes in at $440. It does have a remote. Again, this is just your traditional CD player, and my only gripe with it is that slow loading of the player. At that price point, it just would be nice to have something a little zippier. So that's why this is coming in at number 6. By the way, if you'd be interested in me making more videos about vintage CD players and how they compare with modern ones, let me know in the comments below. I've got some fun ideas on comparing like specific brands, like 80s Yamaha versus modern Yamaha, 80s Denon versus today's Denon CD players, and see if that much has changed, if anything at all, and if one might be better than the other while you're out shopping. I don't know, I thought that would be fun. So if that's something you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments. It'll get me motivated to get all my resources together to get those players in-house and start those comparisons. Coming in at number 5 is the Moondrop Disc Dream 2 portable CD player. Again, these portable CD players have really come a long way and can be used simply at home in your regular setups. I did a full comparison against this player with another player I'm about to talk about here in a few minutes, and the Ultra that we just talked about. This is $180. It uses the exact same chip as the Ultra that I mentioned earlier, but it only uses one chip instead of a 2-chip design on the Ultra model, because this doesn't have a balanced output option like the Ultra does. I love this player. It is lightweight. I love that you can see the disc spinning. It is super easy to use. You can use it just in a DAC mode without even as a CD player. To me, this is a great unit for somebody that's just getting into buying CD players and wants both portable players and one at home. If you have a teenager at home, this would be great for them just to plug it up to some powered speakers. And then if they don't want to listen to it that way, they could pop in headphones and listen to it there. This comes in at number 5 on my list. Great performance. I didn't have any issues using this player. It's just nice and easy, and $180 is really hard to beat in today's market. Now for number 4, I'm going to throw you a curveball, and we're going to talk about a CD transport instead of a CD player. Now, before you get confused, I have a whole video explaining the difference between CD players and CD transports. CD players have traditional RCA outputs that you can connect to anything like you're used to, while a CD transport only has digital outputs that require you to either connect it to an external DAC or to the DAC that might be included in your preamp or amplifier that's already in your stereo system. So I'm a big fan of transports because I like to use a lot of different DACs and try to determine if I can hear any different sound signatures. So these are fun for me to use. Because it's a transport, there's no DAC inside, so that's why I'm not going to talk about a DAC chip. This is $300, and I was excited to see this show up because I really like the small form factor and that they still included a drawer here. So many of these other players are slot loaders or even top loaders, so this was fun to see the drawer. This thing worked flawlessly for me. It's also a CD ripper. So I'll be honest with you, I am not the biggest CD ripper. I'm pretty lazy about it. I just connect a cheap burner that I bought off Amazon to my laptop, and Apple Music fills in all the information for me. That's the way I do it. Using this, it will actually rip everything as a high resolution generic WAV file, and then you need the software to go and organize everything. I made a whole video about this. Go check it out if you're interested in learning about how that ripping function works and if it's something that you would find valuable. But at $300, I thought this was a well-built and operated wonderfully transport, and I like that it does have the CD ripping function for anyone that might be interested in doing that going forward, and that's why it came in as high as it did on the list today. If you're a fan of my channel, I've watched all my videos about CD players this year. I don't think that this player making number 3 will surprise you. It's my favorite portable CD player, the FiiO DM13. There's so many reasons why I love this player. The first is it has a sort of a sliding price scale. You can get it for $140 or you can get it for $180 depending on what features you like. It comes in different colors. It has Bluetooth output, which is something that these other players don't have. It's not necessarily my favorite connection to use for sound quality, but it's there if you want it. You can still connect your headphones right there. It has the ability to be used in desktop mode. So you switch this here. That means once you connect it to your power source, it bypasses the internal battery, which will give that a longer life. You can rip CDs while playing them here. You just connect a thumb drive. Also, you can connect an adapter that they include that will allow you to easily connect a coax or optical cable to an external DAC. Should you want to put this in your system at home and connect it to your external DAC. I know some people out there have had issues playing longer CDs on the DM13 where it didn't read them for long enough. And that was fixed with a firmware update. I haven't had that issue, but I guess I'm not listening to CDs that are long enough. I don't know, most of my CDs are probably like 45 minutes to an hour long, so I'm not sure what the time needs to trigger that issue, but I haven't had it. What I'm really excited about is that FiiO has the DM15 coming out in 2026, which is supposedly an R2R model, and I can't wait to get it in for review. But there's just so much to love about this little player. I use it more than the $600 EC0T. It's just really, really a fun thing. And if you have somebody in your family that's just getting into CDs, like the Moondrop Ultra, I think this is also a great option for them to get started with having their own CD player. The player that's coming in at number 2 on my list had a lot of interesting feedback in the comment section when I released the video about it, mostly related to price. Most people thought it was way too overpriced. That is the Shanling EC3. Now this comes in at $700. This is a CD player and a transport. It uses the ESS9219C DAC. I just love these top loaders. You just set the disc down, put this here, it reads the disc instantly and is ready to play. So why $700? This has something that none of the other players do, Bluetooth. Wait, I thought you said FiiO was the one that had Bluetooth that none of the others did. The FiiO has Bluetooth output. This has Bluetooth input. See right here? That means that you can stream music to this player. You just select it away from the CD input to a streamer input. It comes with instructions on how to download the Edict Player app. So through that app, you can pull up all of your music sources and stream directly to this via Bluetooth. I will admit that a wireless streamer sounds better than using this on Bluetooth, but if that's just not something you're interested in, and you want to have a great CD player that also offers the ability to stream music to your system and not bother buying a streamer or another Bluetooth device, this is an all-in-one unit for that purpose. This thing is heavy. It comes with a remote control. It's really been a great item for me to use in my main system, and I look forward to keep using it more. But yeah, I know $700 is high and a lot of people are going to freak out, but at that price, this has just been a great unit for me to use in my system, and it's one that I would easily recommend. And everyone that I have known who has bought this or has left a comment saying they bought this has really enjoyed it. So don't let the price freak you out too much. That brings us to number 1 on my list, and unfortunately, I don't have it here in my hands to show you because it was a review sample that I had to return, but I've been tempted to buy this unit multiple times, especially during the holiday sale season. That is the SMSL PL200T. Now, this comes in at $500, which when I first reviewed it was the most expensive transport I had ever reviewed. I just love the look of this player. It's got a small form factor. It's got a top-loading design with this cool little puck that you use to make sure the disc is stabilized. It's got these great piano keys that come along with it. What's most interesting about this is that, first of all, it's not a traditional CD player. SMSL does offer a player version of this with RCA outputs. It's called the SMSL 200, PL200. There's no T on there, and it, I believe, is $700. I haven't used that model, so I can't speak to how it sounds as a CD player, but the transport model that I had, the 200T, worked flawlessly. It paired great with all of the DACs I used it with, and what really stood out to me was when you flip this unit around, the connection options that SMSL give you at this price point are crazy. You can connect your own clock to it to get the best timing possible, which is really important in digital playback. But what stood out to me the most was I2S. That's right, it offers an I2S connection, which is something that none of these other players offer. And I think it's actually a fair point to say, well, why does the Shanling EC3 cost $700 and not have I2S? I really wish actually at that price point that the Shanling EC3 did have I2S, but it doesn't. Somehow SMSL was able to include that. And I2S is not a connection that I'm that familiar with because I just don't have any more higher end DACs or equipment that allow for that connection. But it's something that I really want to get interested in testing and listening to further in 2026. So who knows, maybe at the end of the day I will pull the trigger and get the PL200T so that I can have I2S, because I recently just listened to a DAC that cost $3,600, and it really impressed me with the way it changed the sound signature of my digital playback. But I was bummed because it had I2S connections and I didn't have a transport that I could connect to it with I2S. That's why I was out shopping again for the PL200T. But if you'd be interested in learning more about that expensive DAC and what it did to change the sound in my system, you can do so by watching this video here.